Welcome to the channel if you're new here, and welcome back if you're not. It is Shot by Curt. So today, as you see by the title, I'm finally getting a chance to sit down and do this Canon R5 impressions video. This is actually not the first time that I recorded this video. The first time I recorded it was actually last week, and I was gonna put it out, and I'm glad that I waited because I ran across some weird things that I need some help with. So we're gonna lead the video. Before I even get to the impressions, we're gonna lead the video with, have y'all been having missing frame problems? If you own an R5, I need to figure out what is causing these missed frames. So like when I go to do an edit, it don't show up necessarily as I'm skimming through the timeline. I don't really find out until I'm getting ready to export the video, and then all of a sudden it fails, and then it tells me like what frame is missing. So then I'll go change the timeline and then I'll find missing frames. And at first it would only be one frame. Now it's starting to become like 12 and just an odd amount of frames missing. That definitely makes a huge difference in like cutting out the edit or whatever. And these are some long videos that have been done, and I just need to know like what's causing this. I think it's something to do with the memory card, and when stuff get dumped off of it. I'm not sure. I really don't know what the thing is, but I need to know, because this might be one of those like, yo, I'm not finna do this. This camera gotta kick rocks, because I ain't never had this problem. And it's a new thing, because like I said, I've had the camera for a little bit now. It's a new thing. It just popped up like within the last maybe like 2 weeks from me recording this video. I don't know, man. I need help. But if you know something about it or some kind of fix, drop me a comment. All right, now that we got all that out the way, finally let's get into these impressions. So the first thing I want to start with is what the f do I want to start with? The first thing I want to start with is custom video modes. I love custom video modes. If you're not familiar, I had a Canon R6, so the way that you change modes and all of that on the Canon R6 versus the way you change them on the R5 is completely different. I like the R5 and the way that you change. Some people like the dial better, but you don't get custom video settings on the R6, and that was definitely a gripe for me, because coming from the Canon R, you had the same sort of setup that you have on the Canon R5. So pretty much on my custom video 1, 2, and 3, I said 4K 24, 4K 60, and now 4K 120, versus on the R I would have 1080 24, 1080 60, and then 4K 24, but nobody really uses the 4K on that joint. So the next thing I want to talk about is 8K RAW. I don't even really shoot 8K RAW like that at all. I do it sometimes just because I have the ability to do so, especially with one of the memory cards that I have, and I'll touch on that later on. But it's there. Sometimes I'll shoot it if I really want to like punch in on something. If I shot it super wide and I want to punch in and, you know, keep the quality of everything, I'll do it then. But otherwise, I just do it just because I have it. So the next thing, 4K 120. So on the Canon R6, it had 4K 60, which was pretty dope. But when I had my A7 III, I actually used to shoot 120 a lot. When I got the Canon R, it was 720p, 120 frames per second. And while, you know, it was usable, I just didn't use it. And it reverted me back to using 60 frames per second for my B-roll of choice. But I really did like having the 1080 120, or just 120 in general. In this case, the Canon R5 has 4K 120, so I definitely enjoy having 120 frames again for shooting my B-roll, because that is the way that I like to shoot mine. All right, so the next thing that we're gonna talk about is the memory card slots. Now, for me, this is kind of like a mixed bag, because the Canon R6, you could use either a UHS-1 and a UHS-2, or 2 UHS-2s, but however it goes, they're the same type of memory card. So with this one, it has the CF Express Type B, and a UHS slot. And I mean, I wish they would have just chose up and just went for 2 UHS. I mean, not the UHS 2, but the CF Express Type B. I just wish they would have went for 2 of them. It's mad expensive. It definitely can be mad expensive. It's companies out there that, you know, they have some good offerings for a solid price, and Angel Bird happens to be one of those companies. Actually, that is that company, because everybody else is you know, pretty expensive. But yeah, I do wish that they would have just chose up and did 2 CF Express slots. So we're gonna talk about recording options, and this one's gonna be really brief because the Canon R6 you can only shoot IPB and IPB light. So the Canon R5 you can shoot IPB light, IPB, then you get all eye, and if you want to shoot in that ever so coveted 8K, then you got raw. But outside of that, I like the all eye option just because, you know, shooting things that have a lot of movement, all the frames are individual, versus if you shoot with IPB and then it's like it takes the initial frame and groups everything together, and it just gets kind of weird after a while. Like, I mean, not everybody's gonna notice it, but I do notice it. So when I shoot things that have a lot of movement, I definitely shoot all eye versus shooting IPB, just because it's a little fine detail thing that it just kind of irks my nerves. So I'm glad to have all eye. And then last but definitely not least, and if you notice that this is last on the list, is because it's not too much of an issue, but it still can be an issue. I've had this camera give me that overheating warning twice. The first time I kind of expected it, just because the way that I was shooting, that day I was just really off. I don't know what I was thinking about, but I shot 4K 120, maybe 15-20 minutes, and you know, the timer, like I exhausted the timer. Like that was a me thing. I did that. But just this past weekend or last weekend, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, a week ago, something like that, I was shooting. I did line skip, 24 frames per second. Did not oversample or anything. I shot some video, and then I went and I shot some photos, and in the midst of shooting the photos, I get the overheat warning symbol, and it was really weird. Now, the only thing that I can say about this is that day it was pretty hot. It was maybe like 80 degrees, 75, 80 degrees or something like that. I don't personally feel like it should have overheated. I don't even think I should have got that warning. I'm not entirely sure what caused it, but it happened. So yeah, that's my impressions of this Canon R5 after having it for however long I done had it. Obviously I wasn't posting to the channel, and I already told y'all about that. I've been moving around a lot, and all within, you know, the move arounds and things like that, I ended up copping the R5 and getting rid of the R6, which at some point, I'm not gonna lie to you, I might, well, we'll say that for another video. Y'all stay creative, man, and I'll catch y'all in the next video.